Every story is a door. You came here because there's a door calling your name. The orb sees everything. It knows what you need. It has chosen. I only retell. Real or fiction? I won't say. You only need to find meaning for yourself. Listen. Tonight, the orb speaks of something deeply unsettling. What if you could remember tomorrow before it happened? What if your mind could see not visions, but calculations, millions of them, running beneath your awareness like a river you cannot stop? In 1987, a man walked into a police station in Chicago. He told them calmly, "Tomorrow there will be a fire at Warehouse 47 on Wilson Road. 3 people will die." They laughed at him. They told him to go home. The next day, it happened. Exactly as he described. Every detail. Every death. This is not a story about psychic powers. This is something far more disturbing. The orb reveals tonight the tale of Michael Torres, an ordinary engineer, a family man, whose shattered mind became something no one could explain. But before we begin, the orb asks you this. If you could see every tomorrow, would you still want to live today? Think carefully, because Michael Torres learned the answer, and it nearly destroyed him. March 14th, 1987. Michael Torres was driving home from work on the Eisenhower Expressway. He was 45 years old. A mechanical engineer, married to a woman named Linda, father of 2 boys. An ordinary man, living an ordinary life. A truck driver fell asleep at the wheel. The impact crushed the driver's side of Michael's sedan. Glass and steel folded around him like a coffin. He was pulled from the wreckage barely alive. For 11 days, Michael lay in a coma at Cook County Hospital. His brain swelling. His family praying. On the 12th day, he opened his eyes. The first thing he said to his wife was, "I remember the fire." Linda thought he was confused, delirious from the medications. But then he said something that made her blood run cold. "There will be a fire tomorrow at a warehouse on Wilson Road. 3 workers will be trapped inside. They will not survive." Linda called the doctor. The doctor called a neurologist. They ran tests, scans, and evaluations. The diagnosis: traumatic brain injury with confabulatory syndrome. In simple words, his damaged brain was creating false memories. But these memories were about things that had not happened yet. The warehouse fire happened the very next day. March 27th, 1987. Warehouse 47 on Wilson Road erupted in flames just after midnight. 3 night shift workers trapped, killed by smoke inhalation. Every single detail matched. Linda sat beside her husband that night and whispered, "How did you know?" Michael stared at the ceiling. I did not know. I remembered. It felt like something that already happened. Like recalling yesterday? Over the following 6 months, Michael remembered 23 events before they occurred. A small plane crash near Midway Airport. A stranger in their neighborhood winning the lottery. A water main break flooding 3 blocks downtown. 19 out of 23, completely accurate. Word began to spread. Reporters called. Television stations sent cameras. Michael refused them all. He told Linda, I am not a circus act. I am terrified. Because among the things he remembered, there were things he wished he could forget. By late 1988, Michael Torres had become a ghost in his own life. He stopped going to work. He sat in his living room for hours, staring at nothing, while memories of tomorrow flooded his mind. He knew which neighbor would fall ill. He knew which marriages on his street would end. He knew things about strangers, things they had not yet done. One evening, Linda sat across from him at the kitchen table. The boys were already in bed. The house was completely quiet. She asked the question she had been afraid to ask for months. Michael, can you see our future? The clock on the wall ticked. The refrigerator hummed. He said nothing for a very long time. Then, very softly, he spoke. I do not want to know. Linda felt something break inside her. Not because of what he said, but because of what his eyes revealed. He already knew. Whatever he had seen, it was something he could not share. Michael Torres had received what most people dream of, the knowledge of what comes next. And it was destroying him. Because knowing the future meant he could never be present. Every surprise already spoiled. Every joy shadowed by what would follow. In the spring of 1989, a woman named Dr. Catherine Wells flew from New York to Chicago. She was a neuropsychologist, one of the most respected in the country. She had read about Michael in a medical journal, and she needed to understand. She spent 3 days with him. Talking, testing, listening. On the 3rd evening, she sat across from Michael with tears in her eyes. Michael, you are not a prophet. You are not psychic. You are not seeing the future. He looked at her. Then what am I? Dr. Wells explained. The accident had damaged his prefrontal cortex and its connections to the temporal lobe. But instead of losing function, his brain had rewired itself into something extraordinary. His unconscious mind was processing millions of data points simultaneously. Weather patterns, human behavior, structural weaknesses, micro-expressions, subtle environmental changes. His brain was making predictions, incredibly accurate ones, and presenting them to his conscious mind as memories. He was not remembering the future. He was calculating it at a level no conscious mind could achieve. Michael sat quietly for a very long time. Then he asked, So am I a prophet or just a machine? Dr. Wells had no answer. 1990-91. The years passed slowly. Michael lived in silence. He stopped sharing what he saw. He carried his knowledge alone, like a man with stones in his pockets. He watched his sons grow up, already knowing what choices they would make. He watched the news, already knowing the headlines. He lived in a world with no mystery, no wonder, no surprise. Then one morning in February 1992, Michael slipped on ice in his driveway. His head struck the concrete. A minor concussion. Nothing serious. But when he woke, something had changed. The memories of tomorrow were gone. He could not calculate. He could not predict. Tomorrow was a blank page. A reporter asked him, "Do you miss it? Do you regret losing your gift?" Michael smiled, a real smile, the first in years. "For 5 years I knew everything that would happen. But I forgot how to live. I never felt surprise. I never felt hope. Because hope requires uncertainty. Now every tomorrow is a mystery again. And I have never been happier." But this story has one more chapter. Something Michael Torres never told anyone, not his wife, not Dr. Wells, not a single reporter. During those 5 years, among all the tomorrows he remembered, there was one that haunted him above all others. He remembered the day he would die. He saw it clearly. The date, the place, the way it would happen. The year was 2024. Now here is where this story takes its final turn. I recently learned that Michael Torres is still alive. 82 years old, living quietly in a small town outside Chicago. 2024 came and went, and Michael Torres is still here. Perhaps it was the one prediction that failed. Or perhaps when his brain returned to normal, something in the equation shifted, and the future he once remembered was rewritten. We will never know. But maybe that is the greatest lesson. The future is not written. It is not a memory waiting to be recalled. It is a choice made moment by moment. And the most beautiful thing about tomorrow is that none of us truly knows what it holds. That is what makes us human.